Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Honk honk, everyone. Such a good day. You get to see the next part of my sit down with John Witherspoon, attorney from DC. You know, I love having him on the channel. He brings so much knowledge and so much just fun. I love having him on as a guest. And from the comments, I can tell you guys enjoy seeing him as well. And that means so much to me. Continue to leave those good comments. We really appreciate it. And I will continue to ask him to come back and talk about this nonsense with me. But in the meantime, let's get into the next part of our sit down and our conversation. Thank you guys for being here. Have the best day. Here we go.
At our very core, we're humans.
Mm-hmm.
And to treat other humans the way that she treats other humans is very indicative. And to be treated as a human in the way that he is treated by her is very indicative of how he is wired up.
Yeah.
Just think about the video that we watched so many times about when they got to New York. He tried to, the last time they were up there for the time 100 or bedtime 100 or whatever you want to call it, the snooze fest.
Yeah.
She got out of the car. He attempted to take her hand or to accompany to meet her on equal footing, and she basically backhanded him. She saw somebody in the crowd that she was much more interested in than him, and he sat there and basically, looked like a fool. Oh, I'll stick my hands in my pockets. Mm-hmm. Sorry. It could not be more beta male than that.
I agree.
And we're in year 7 of their marriage now. Mm-hmm. You could write that off as, that was just an aberration. That was a one-off. She lost her composure for a second. No. She's been leading him around by the nose or by the hand or with the claw in the middle of his back or whatever. She's been doing that for years.
Since the engagement, yes.
And he hasn't put a stop to it.
You're right.
He hasn't put a stop to it. If he was an alpha, or at a minimum, if he considered himself an equal with her, he would have a conversation and say, I don't appreciate when you do that. It diminishes me, it dehumanizes me, it emasculates me. Please don't do that anymore.
Right.
And here we are, still talking about it. She's the alpha, he's the beta. No question about it in my mind.
I agree. I feel the same way. I'm so stuck on that. I don't understand how you don't just say, what are you doing? Like the first time she did that, why didn't you say, what are you doing? I'm talking. Hang on.
And again,
otherwise I'll be back with you.
Right. And you look at Harry's brother. You would think he would figure this out from looking at his brother.
Yeah, they handle things.
His brother is an alpha male.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Catherine is a pushover or is diminutive or is a wimp or anything else? No. It gets back to what I was talking about with the swish. Classical femininity. And I get it. Not everybody is cut out to be classically feminine, but that doesn't mean that you should somehow assume a superior subordinate type of a role, especially when the person who is subordinate, like Harry, has been, as I said, basically emasculated, for lack of a better word, and placed into a subservient position from which he apparently does not seem able to escape.
Yeah. Yeah, I cannot make sense out of that. And every time I bring it up, I get comments saying, well, that's narc control. Maybe, but he seems to be a willing participant. I mean, look no further than that video.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
I agree. I think he is a very willing participant, and
if not sometimes the agitator, if that's the right word, because you rightly point out his tone in the New York, was the letter or something? Remember with the car chase and stuff where he made his demand, he was demanding and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and he had just a
Right.
piss poor attitude about it and stuff. I think he's a jerk. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. I just do. I think he's a jerk.
Well,
So.
I think again, talking about watershed moments in the history of Meghan and Harry, I think when over the long term, when people look back at this, that is going to be something that people will pull out and they'll say, look at this email. What a pompous, entitled, arrogant, needlessly so, and inappropriately so jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. Definitely.
What a jerk.
I think
And
so.
and yet when it comes to his own affairs of domestic life, where is that bravado?
Yeah, he won't assert himself there, so he picks the most inopportune times, like court, to try to lord over people or something. I can't make any sense out of it.
Well, he lacks the emotional intelligence. A lot of people don't understand what emotional intelligence is, but again, a perfect example of it is to, within hours of the court decision in the UK, without allowing himself time to think about what am I going to say, how do I feel about this, basically in the heat of the moment, he jumped on the BBC and spouted off a whole bunch of stuff that made himself look absolutely ridiculous and absurd.
Yeah.
Made himself a laughingstock, much the same way he made himself a laughingstock in the hospital video.
Yeah.
I mean, emotional intelligence is the ability to keep your mouth shut, among a lot of other things. It's the ability to keep your mouth shut in the heat of the battle and to think about, okay, first of all, I'm going to allow myself to calm down. I'm going to make sure I've covered all the angles in this. I'm going to think about what I want to say and not want to, and what I don't want to say, and so on and so forth. And that's a major, major flaw in his personality.
Yeah. Yeah. One of many flaws, but yes, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And then you told me an interesting fact about Harry, that he wanted to be the first man to do something. Do you remember what that was?
Oh, that was a joke somebody said the other day. They said,
I know, I was playing it seriously though. What was it?
Somebody said that they had heard, and again, this is a joke. They had heard that Harry had announced that he wanted to be the first person to walk on the sun. And when he was, the second part of the joke is when it was pointed out to him that he might get burned by the heat of the sun, his alleged response was, "Oh, don't worry, we've thought of that. We're going to go at night. I want to go at night, so the heat of the sun won't be an issue." So again, just that's when you become the butt of jokes like that. You know, it's kind of telling you what the world has on its mind as far as your,
Well, you sent it at the perfect time. I was dealing with something serious and I read that and I was like, what? And I started laughing. I thought that's pretty good.
Yeah. And again, as I've said before, it's tragic. If he had stayed in the royal family, the courtiers could have sorted all of this out.
Yeah, but
he might have actually continued to evolve and learn. But he's a fish out of water, out in the real world. He was not raised for the environment that he's currently in. Great example of that, again, when he sat down with the BBC after the court loss, he said, "Oh, I wish somebody had told me that this was the way things were going to turn out." It's like, did the judge at the lower court level not tell you this? Did the whole world, do you look at YouTube at all? Do you look at the mainstream media? The whole world saw this coming from a mile away. You didn't have to be a lawyer. You could just look at this and say, you know what?
Yeah.
Take your lump, take your loss. Suck it up. Move along.
You're right.
Not only did he not move along, he went to the appeals court. And then when he lost at the appeals court, he acted like he never saw it coming. And he admitted that. I don't know what's worse, to have that sentiment in your head or to actually go on TV and tell people about it.
You're right. I can't imagine that made his lawyer super thrilled. Because it makes them sound incompetent too, like they didn't explain it. But they got to figure, well, people just know Harry's an idiot at this point.
Well, and the idea that, I mean, and the judge basically in the appeals court said, for all intents and purposes, said to him, you're looking for some validation of your emotions.
Right. We don't do that here.
We don't do that here. You're in the wrong place, pal.
Right.
We're here to decide things based on what's written in the law and the facts as applied to the law. That's what we do.
Right.
And the fact that you didn't like the decision down at the lower court level doesn't mean that you can just say, "Oh, well, I don't like that. I want to go. I want to go shopping for a different judge." A lot of people do that. They go. You know, they look for. You know, they ask person A. Person A doesn't give them the answer that they want, and so they say, "Okay, well, I'll go to person A's boss." No, the world doesn't work that way. Unless person A has made a specific mistake, going to their boss isn't going to help. It's like, these people that, in these traffic stop videos where they oh, I want to talk to your supervisor. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. I've never, ever seen a video where the supervisor shows up on scene and tells the initial police officer, "Oh, you know what? You made a big mistake. Let this guy go immediately. Apologize."
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. Sorry, Harry.
Right.
I'm
laughing because there's one I watched recently where a kid kept saying, I have a test, or something. It's like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Too bad.
Right.
That you're under scary. I have something to do. No.
You're under arrest. No, I'm not. Really? Really?
No, I think you are.
I think you are. You're wearing handcuffs.
Yeah.
That means you're under arrest. I mean, like, again, that's the level at which Harry seems, by all impressions that anybody has, that seems to be the way that Harry views the world.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Not that he's been arrested, not trying to say that,
No.
Let's be clear. Not saying he's committed any crimes. We just so we're all on the same page there. But it's just that again, the critical thinking, the logic disconnect. And again, this gets back to the point that I made a minute ago about how if he had grown up and spent, I think, a little bit more time as an adolescent outside the walls of the palace, and I don't know how he survived in the military. I really don't.
Right.
If there's any institution on the face of the earth that has very little tolerance for, "I don't like your answer, sir. I want to go to your commanding officer."
Right.
No.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Right. You don't like the food? Great. Don't eat it.
Yeah.
You don't like you don't like how far we marched today?
Yeah. Let's march further tomorrow then. Yeah.
Yeah. Your sergeant really doesn't care.
Exactly.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
So how he got in and out of the military, I have no concept.
I don't know, but it does bear mentioning, though. I always have to do this. Look at William. William was raised in their similar circumstances and turned out not at all like Harry. So
absolutely,
Harry, you can blame his upbringing. Is my point. It's just, I think. What was that fact you told me recently? How much of yourself can you change?
Well, this was just a video that YouTube served to me, but just sort of out of the blue, but I found it very, very compelling. There was somebody talking about, I think it was, what is it, Diary of a CEO? I don't remember. Anyway, the host was interviewing a woman who was a psychologist, I think, of some sort, or she had studied.
Psychologist and a motivational speaker, I think, some sort of combo, something like that.
Yes. But anyway, the point that she was making was that you can change somewhere on the order of 30 to 40% of your personality. Mm-hmm. And I think she was making the analogy of going to AA for people who have an alcohol problem, mm-hmm. and the various steps that everybody's familiar with. You have to acknowledge that there's something that you want to change, and then you have to start along the journey to changing it, and so forth. And for people who have personality characteristics that they decide are unpalatable, or that they have learned the hard way that are unpalatable to the rest of the world, mm-hmm. there are certain things that you can do. I know I have things that won't go into detail and bore you with it, but I know there are things that I have worked on to make myself happier, and also to make the rest of the world happier with me.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
And Harry, and I think everybody has done that to a certain extent. You get into a relationship, you stay in the relationship long enough, and your significant other is going to say to you, I don't care for the way that you X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And you have to decide, okay, how important is it for me to make this change in support of this relationship? And so you see this all the time, or you have a boss that your boss doesn't care for it when you do whatever. So the point being, I question the extent to which Harry has ever found something about himself where he has said, I don't care for this, or this is not working for me, or it's not working for the rest of the world in relationship to me. So I'm going to make a change. And as this person in the video said, you can change 30 or 40% of who you are. You can learn, let's say you have a hot temper, you can learn to control your temper. There will still be occasions probably when you lose control and you get fired up and you say and you do things that you shouldn't do. You punch the wall, or you lash out and you scream, or you write an email in haste that you fire off to somebody, telling them off. You can control that to a certain extent. You will still make mistakes, but you can get that under control and become a better person. And so I don't think Harry has ever really engaged in that type of introspection and work on himself. It's just not, that's just my opinion, because he keeps apparently making the same mistakes over and over again. And I think part of it is he is hard-headed. He doesn't like to listen to what other people have to say. And then he also, I think, has some emotional immaturity. I think his own mother even said that. Yeah. That he's hot-tempered, he's slow to learn, he doesn't like to be told things. Again, I have no idea how he survived in the British Army this way.
No.
And I think, who was it? I think somewhere it was written, maybe in Spare, where he said he didn't care for flight school because the flight instructor was always telling him what to do.
That's how you keep people alive. Yes.
Yeah. Like the flight instructor would like to get back on the ground and have, go home and take his, and have a beer as well.
Right.
So this is not just a flight instructor. And I think I'm trying to remember if somebody else can put in the comments if I got the story wrong, but just
something like that. Yeah.
Something along those lines. It's like, look, the flight instructor wants to go home and see his wife and kids as well at the end of the day. That's or her wife and kids. So, and to the extent that you fight that kind of thing, I mean, no wonder the guy is apparently miserable.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
And it's something, here's the thing too. It's like, how do you grow up in the world and not understand that? When the traffic signal turns red, you need to stop, whether you like it or not, whether you're in a hurry, whether, this is like not rocket science, but it seems to be for him.
Yeah. Yep.
It really genuinely does.
You're right. Yeah. I'm just, again, not to think about me, but I literally can speak to exactly this. In a year and a half, I've changed my whole life. I changed the trajectory of my life by this weight loss thing, and acknowledging that I had a serious addiction and going through the steps to remedy it. And it's, I'm so sorry. Hold on, my phone's ringing. Okay, it's fine. It's just junk. But the steps it's working on it every single day. But here's where the difference is acknowledging that I had an issue and then learning from anybody I could and people smarter than me and working on it every day. I don't think Harry's capable of learning from other people. I don't think he's capable of admitting that he has any kind of problem. And I don't think he's capable of hard work. He might be capable, but he's not willing to put in hard work. And I think to make a big change like the ones you're talking about, I know from my own experience, that's what it took every single day working on it, and still every single day thinking and working on it. So I just don't think he has it in him. I don't.
And you talk about a witch's brew of bad personal characteristics. And this is, people always say, oh, well, you shouldn't talk. I disagree with you that, you say you feel sorry for the guy and this, and it's like, again, I want to qualify. He is a Shakespearean level tragic character. Mm-hmm. He had the world by the tail, and he has blown every single opportunity that he had to capitalize on that.
Yep.
To that extent, he's tragic. Do I feel sorry for him? To a certain extent, yes, because I don't think he's bright enough to understand the magnitude of the mess he has made of his life. Mm-hmm. He has ruined his life as far as I'm concerned, my opinion. Right. Do I think that he's his own worst enemy? Yes. Do I feel bad for him when he does stuff like making that video? No. No. All the crap that is being dumped on him right now and on Meghan is entirely their own fault.
I think so too. Mm-hmm.
He's made his own lousy decisions. He made a poor decision with his choice of a life partner. Mm-hmm. If and when he reverses that decision, I may change my perspective on his ability to extract himself from difficult situations. Mm-hmm. But to the extent that bad things have befallen him, it's his own damn fault.
I think so too. Yep.
And again, it's the appeals court case being a perfect example of that. Mm-hmm. I wish somebody had told me. I guarantee you they told you. I guarantee you they told you. The whole world told you. The judge told you at the lower court level. The press told you. If you had any friends, which apparently he doesn't have a whole lot of them, they would have told you. If you were on speaking terms with your dad, your dad would have told you.
Your brain would tell you. I don't know anything about the legal system, but I would know, hey, there's a chance I could lose this on any case.
Yeah.
He just has to look for somebody else to blame.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Definitely. Let's see. And then finally on Harry, he went to China to lecture on air pollution through travel. The idea of Harry lecturing people in China, of all places. We've kind of alluded to that. China is, I believe, the 13th most polluted country in the world. And people have pointed out, well, they're making some strides. They're shutting down coal-fired power plants. They're, trying to get on board with solar, electricity and technology and so forth. And that's all well and good. But I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting place for him to go. Yeah.
Very interesting place for him to go for any number of reasons. First of all, I think the Chinese are notoriously, in my observation, I think the Chinese want what the Chinese want. Mm-hmm. Chinese are not in the habit of being lectured to by people, especially princes from the Western world, the British Empire of all things. I think he looked like an idiot because he allowed himself to be used. Because I think what probably happened was they thought, you know what, bring this guy in here. give him a bunch of talking points, and let him spout what he wants to spout. And then we can say, see, look, we invited this guy from the UK, from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big thought leader. We are interested in hearing what other people have to say. And he played right along with it.
Yeah. Why did he play along with it? Just for something to do? To feel important?
I think that's part of it. And I suspect there was also compensation involved.
Yeah.
That made it worthwhile for him to get on an airplane and fly himself halfway around the world to give a speech to a bunch of people who probably were told, don't act like you're not interested in this. Yeah. Sit there and pay attention like you're very interested in what's coming out of this guy's mouth.
Yeah, I think so.
And then they left the room and just went right back to doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
You know,
same could be said for Harry. He left the room and went back to whatever he's flying, whatever, private or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then finally, we just had a couple of random ones. If you want to hit these, just a couple random talking points, and then we'll wrap up. But
okay.
So I'm laughing already. Do you remember the beginning of this one? You don't know where I'm going with this. It's back to the Silence of the Lambs. And I laugh because, John, you seem to really like the Silence of the Lambs.
I do like that movie. Great movie.
Back to the Silence of the Lambs. In regard to her personality, she can fake it for a little bit. She cannot fake it for long term. She's been around people, so she's picked up a few things, but the root of Meghan is still there. And then you talked about Harley Davidson's story. Does that ring a bell? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a random story, but I was in contact with not because I was interested in working for Harley, but was talking with a recruiter from Harley Davidson. And he said that there are people who come to work at Harley Davidson, especially people who go onto the assembly line, and they feel they have understood that the way that you're supposed to behave at Harley Davidson is that there's going to be this very rough and tumble environment, and you're going to swear and you're going to tell dirty jokes and do all this kind of stuff. And he said that they regularly have to counsel people that this is not the Harley Davidson culture. We don't swear. We're a family. We don't behave this way. Right. And we don't tell off-color jokes, and we don't talk. It's a very male-oriented environment, but we don't sit around degrading women. And you can think what you want about the way that Harley works, but that's just not the way the company operates. That's not their culture. And I think to a certain extent that Meghan suffers from some of the same misunderstandings about the way that the world works, that she just doesn't have a good grasp of what it really means to be part of a British royal family culture. And she thinks that, oh, I can just fake it. And it's like, no, if it's not hardwired into your DNA, it's not going to work. And again, back to the hospital video, the mask slipped. Here's the real Meghan.
Yeah. I want to make a joke so bad. We got to see her DNA. She was shaking it around.
Oh. Right.
Gross. Sorry, I grossed myself out with that one. But no, I get what you're saying. Yes, we saw what she was hardwired with. How about that?
Yeah. Right.
That's better. And then how would the mood change when Meghan walked into a room, do you think?
Very interesting question. I think that when Meghan walks into a room, it depends obviously on the room.
Yes.
If she's walking into a room filled with sycophants of the type who appeared in her cooking show in the kitchen and seal clapped about how great her raspberry whatever with the mint leaves in it, those people would probably be thrilled. Just like you saw, there was the focus group. There was the footage of the focus group. I think it was done in New York where showed some of her video, her cooking show video or lifestyle or whatever it's called now, with Love Meghan, to an audience of, I understand, handpicked fans of hers. And they were just over the moon when she walked in.
Yeah.
But I think if she walked into a room of average people, and I think we kind of saw this, my impression was when she showed up at we saw it when she, had the awkward interaction with Dr. Sophie Chanduka of Sentabali when they were up on the awards platform at the polo match. And you saw this to a certain extent at the latest Invictus Games up in Canada when she announced that on the spur of the moment, she just couldn't control herself. She had to give some spontaneous, unscripted remarks. I think people just kind of thought, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I think that's more often than not, unless it's a hand-picked audience or a very specific audience, I think the reaction generally is eye-rolling and people saying, oh my God, how long is this going to last?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Why is she here? Why is she talking? I think that's the impression that she gives probably when she walks into a room.
I would think so too. How about when she leaves the room?
Oh, exactly reverse. Everybody's like, hooray, hooray.
I think it would be like, if I don't know, if you and I were at an event, I think I'd be like, did you see that? Did you see how she was talking to him? That kind of stuff,
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what she just said? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What about when Harry walks in the room? What do you think the mood is like?
Same thing. Especially if you know he's there just to be good time Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Oh, that's cool. There's Prince Harry.
Yeah.
Seems like a good guy. If you know he's there to talk down to you or to lecture you or to tell you how to live or what to think or where to go or what to do, same reaction as Meghan.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I think he's known to be a lightweight. It is not, again, critical thinking skills do not seem to be his forte. Idea generation and development do not seem to be his forte.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a sophisticated thinker. He is not a thought leader.
No.
So to the extent that he tries to portray himself as such, it's just not going to work.
No, not at all. I agree. And then your question was, do you think Harry's kids ever FaceTime with the king or their cousins or anything like that? What
a question that is, right?
Right.
They can't see their grandfather, the king of the UK, head of the British Commonwealth, the Empire, British Empire. They can't be in his presence because it's too dangerous for them to go to the UK. Great. Let's take that as a given.
Okay.
I know that's a hard ask for a lot of people, but let's assume that that's all true.
Okay.
How often have Harry's kids FaceTimed with either of their grandfathers? How often have they had a StreamYard or a Zoom call with either of their grandparents or their cousins? Do they exchange holiday greetings or birthday greetings with their grandfather or their cousins?
Yeah.
Nobody ever asks that question. I think that's a super important question.
Yeah.
Because if the answer is, as I suspect it is, that they have never FaceTimed or Zoomed with their grandfathers, then that blows up the whole facade of why they can't spend time. Because that says to me, it's not a security issue. It is a vindictiveness issue.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an issue. It's a spite issue. It is it's a cruelty type of issue, in my opinion.
I think so too. Almost like a bargaining chip type thing. Using
it's absolutely a bargaining chip. Mm-hmm. Absolutely a bargaining chip. I mean, this has been known you hear this all the time. This has been known from day one. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dad, fix my security situation. If not, oops. Well, sorry, too bad. You'll never see your grandchildren again. You'll never meet your grandson.
Awful.
No, I'm sorry. You'll never see either of them.
Yeah.
You'll never see your grandson because a little bit was born here.
Sure.
or you'll never see your granddaughter, rather. I'm sorry.
I know what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's and again, it's to bring it sort of full circle.
Mm-hmm.
The level of disconnection in terms of the importance of family and children, mm-hmm. and giving birth and treating that with a degree of reverence and sanctimony, and viewing that as a important life event. Why are we all here? At the end of the day, why are we all here? Is it to get rich and famous? Is it to? It's like, no, we're really here. It's the same reason that, without over dramatizing it, I mean, it's the same reason that, the squirrels come back, summer after summer. It's like, look, we're all just here to pass things along to the next generation. Mm-hmm. And to treat that with the level of irreverence, and to make a mockery of that, the greatest and highest calling that any of us have, mm-hmm. to raise decent children and to make the world a better place by putting good kids, mm-hmm. into society, to make light of that, and to deprive people of the opportunity to participate in that very, very important and sacred experience by getting to know their grandchildren getting to know their cousins and their grandparents and so forth, to cut that off for the flimsiest of reasons is, I find it unforgivable. I'm sure everybody agrees with that as well. It is, if regardless of what you think of Meghan and Harry, the extent to which they have perpetuated that level of dysfunction and cruelty, mm-hmm. not only to other members of the family, but to their own flesh and blood.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know about Meghan and Harry. It really is.
Absolutely.
And the hospital video is part and parcel of that lack of reverence for this very, very sacred responsibility, mm-hmm. that we have as, I'm sounding very sort of high and mighty, but it can't.
No, I agree with you completely.
It can't be overemphasized. There's no greater calling that anybody has than to propagate society through turning out well-adjusted, well-educated, socially responsible kids. And for all that Meghan and Harry spout about in terms of trying to make the world a better place, and yet talk about hypocrisy.
Right.
They're depriving their own flesh and blood, their relatives, and their own children, depriving them of that very, very important and sacred responsibility. It just doesn't get any simpler than that. And again, when people struggle to figure out, okay, why is this hospital thing so cringeworthy, and why do I dislike them so much? I can't put my finger on it. I think in their heart of hearts, it really gets down to that. It doesn't matter that Meghan she wears clothes and looks awful in them. It doesn't matter that she's all about the bling and the Cartier watch and the Range Rovers and the 17 bedrooms and all that stuff. Yes, I get it. But what it really boils down to is that these are people who are abdicating their responsibility. And that's a strange word to use in the context of a royal family, the word abdication. But Harry is abdicating, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, he is abdicating his responsibility as a father. He is allowing his wife to abdicate her responsibility as a responsible mother. She can put all the pictures of her and her kids on Instagram that she wants. She can talk all she wants about wonderful stuff that she allegedly grows in her gardens, or she gets from Whole Foods or wherever it is, and puts into a basket for everybody to, ooh and ah over. But at the end of the day, I think they are making horrible, horrible mistakes.
Yeah.
with the way that they are conducting their lives in the broadest 50. We all make mistakes here, and
Sure.
on a daily basis, but their life philosophy is, I think, so deeply flawed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they are so genuinely unlikable as people.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right. And then the last thing on the list was you said it gets tedious partially showing the kids. It's obnoxious. I'm smiling and laughing because we got the most view we had of Lily yesterday. I think it was in real time. But that it's still a partial view, and it is obnoxious and tedious. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I agree. And, here's what it is. And I wish I could take credit for this. And I also wish I could give credit to the person who said this. But there was a YouTuber who characterized this as the sort of peekaboo aspect of showing those kids. It's the, we're going to, and somebody else said it's the jigsaw method of showing who your kids are. I'm going to show you my kids, but I'm not going to show you my kids. This is the view that you're going to get of Lilibet as her birthday picture. Yeah. It is just so tedious and tiresome.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're going to go then turn around and lecture everybody about the importance of not having on, things are out of control in terms of social media.
Right. And then post our children on social media.
Right. Either show the kids or don't show the kids.
Right.
There are plenty of people. Ewan McGregor, a famous example. Mm-hmm. I have children. I do not ever want my children to be photographed.
Yeah.
It's just a decision that he and his wife made. We do not want our kids to appear on the red carpet, in the back seat of the car, going to the grocery store, and just period. End of story. We just have made the decision that this is what we're going to do. So fine. If that's the way you want to play it, more power to you.
Right.
You're in the best position to decide that. Mm-hmm. And as you should be. But if you want to leverage your kids and monetize your kids, either directly or indirectly or whatever it is, don't do this sort of kind of bait and switch, aha, gotcha. Here's the kid. Here's Archie staring into the sun in Mexico, into the sunset.
Right. Absolutely.
But
I'm going to hold them on my hip so you see like a little bit of a profile, but not much else. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Either get in or get out.
Mm-hmm. That's it for our list. Anything else on your mind in terms of everything? We've covered a lot of stuff.
I think that's it for right now. I appreciate the opportunity to come on with you. It's always a pleasure, always fun. I always appreciate the comments that people leave. Mm-hmm. I learn a lot from things that people write in the comments. So by all means, write something in there. Be sure, and Jen, we can't say this enough. I'll say it on your behalf. Please like the video.
Yes.
And we were talking before as well about the analytics and the numbers of people who are subscribed and so forth. I think most people probably be shocked at the number of people who enjoy your videos, but they don't actually have a subscription to your channel. Yeah. Doesn't cost anything to subscribe. Very easy to do. Mm-hmm. One click of the mouse. And YouTube takes that very seriously. So if you like the content and you like what Jen's doing, which I certainly do, and you enjoy it, then I'll just make the pitch on behalf of Jen, because she's too modest sometimes to beg and plead. But it is really important to click the like, make a comment, engage with the content by making a comment.
Yeah. And
then also just make sure you're subscribed. If your channel is the same as a lot of other channels, Jen, I would bet that your subscribers are probably about 40%.
That's
if
right.
You're lucky, 40% of your viewing universe is actually subscribed.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that ballpark. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But you're right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to further help, you can comment, but leave comments for John, and then I'll pass them along to John to read.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And you're helping
Absolutely.
both of us.
If you like Jen's new pulsating chandelier, there it is.
I haven't actually had it on a video until this one. I'm just realizing because I did it on a live. I don't think I've turned it on a video. This might be the first pulsating video. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very nice. And I'm glad that you were able to. I know you worked hard to figure out the way to make that work. And I know people were sending you super chats to encourage you to get that up and running. And I know it helped. So
I had friends helping me try to wire it in and everything. That's right.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. But it looks great. It really does.
Thank you.
Nice addition.
Thank you.
Nice addition.
That and my Ryan Gosling. I'm really fond of Ryan Gosling.
Yes. Yes. Ryan has a prominent place, and he looks great in the background there, just sort of on the periphery.
That's right. He's keeping Goose Guard. Thank you very much. No, it's always a pleasure to have you here, John. Definitely keep us posted on your plans in terms of channel or anything else. And you're always welcome. And as they do more crazy things, I'm going to have you back to talk about their crazy things. So I enjoy your take on it very much.
Absolutely.
But thanks for coming and for talking to me. I appreciate it. And I'll continue to bug you soon.
We'll do it again.
All right. Bye.